Ari, this is Justice League 55. Oh, that's the same number as yesterday. That is fun, cause it links into what I was talking about. This is that run with Donatello leading the team, and this was my introduction to it. When I was getting into DC, they were doing this shit story called Return of Doomsday Man, and it crossed over into Justice League like this. So I got this Justice League issue. Before I get into it though, there is also a variant cover by Stan Jurgensen, and I am generally more in favour of the cover being done by the interior artist. But in this case, this is one of the few exceptions, because I think that this is a better cover for this issue. Because this one, the main cover, this is by Brett Wilkes Booth. It depicts Doomsday Man fighting Bicycle Superman, which doesn't happen. And actually, Bicycle Superman's appearance is the final page reveal. This would have been a good cover for the second part of this, where that fight actually takes place. But it is a bad one for this issue, as it is not only inaccurate, but it gives away the ending. Whereas the other cover just had the team fighting Doomsday Man. With this, I was thrown in at the deep end. I was just getting into DC, or trying to get into DC as a regular thing. I had Superman comics before, I had some other stuff, but outside of Superman, I'd never actually properly collected a DC comic since, like, becoming a grown-up. I started with that Lenny Luthor's book, and then this related crossover came about, and I thought it would be a good way to sample books and get into them. But it was a waste of time, because not only was the crossover rubbish, but all these books were being cancelled a few months later for the new 52. Here we have some ongoing subplots and stuff with Calypso, and I have got all this run now, and I am looking forward to finally having added context for all this stuff. But half of the charm of this was because I was so out of my depth. I had no idea who anyone was, and it was far from your traditional Justice League lineup, and I found it intriguing and fascinating. This story here, though, it focuses on two characters on the team, and those are Supergirl and Batman. But the Batman in question is Dick Grayskull, who had taken over the Batman mantle after the death of Bruce Kane in Final Christmas. Even that little bit, that was something that, when I first read this, it must have took like 8 pages for me to cotton on that this wasn't the real Batman, even though they do kind of spell it out here. It never crossed me mind that this Batman wouldn't be the Batman that we all know. And Supergirl, she is going through an emo phase. She has become Dark Supergirl, which was a thing that I did actually know about because it was in Batman and Superman, and it was that story when I finally stopped reading that book. I never really got far enough to have an appropriate knowledge of Dark Supergirl or what caused it, but I did recognise Dark Supergirl as being a thing from that story. But when I got this issue, so much of this was just slight confusion and feeling lost. There's that hard saying about comics that every issue is somebody's first. And I didn't put much stock in that idea because this was a first for me and it made very little concessions, and because of that I found it more fascinating. The plot of the crossover Return of Doomsday Man, it couldn't be any simpler. Doomsday Man returns. He is back. Doomsday Man. He is back and he is running from book to book, beating up all the replacement Supermans from the 90s. Steel Superman, Superboy, Radiator Superman, and here he has come for Supergirl, but the stupid cover has already given away that Bicycle Superman is his primary target. It's not a good story, this crossover. It's very crap. It is just Doomsday Man smashing characters around. This two-part Justice League tie-in is actually the good part of it. It is well written and has characterization to it. And these two parts are what I found the most exciting. I was seeing hints at other stories in this book, like Calypso or all this Green Lantern stuff. I was seeing dynamics and relationships between characters that I was unaware of, like the romance between Dick Grayskull and Supergirl. And I was seeing characters I genuinely didn't have any idea who they were, but who were members of the Justice League somehow. We have Gay Starman here. He is a mainstay on this version of the team. I had no idea who this guy was. I had never heard of him before. But here he is fighting Doomsday Man, and so he is immediately grabbing me because he's actually gunning up against this really tough bruiser bad guy who killed Superman. Then we have other ones like Walker, Texas Saint, Blue Lanterns. From what I understand, he doesn't quite get to join the team because the book gets cancelled for the New 52 before it can become an official membership thing with him. But he is in the last batch of issues of the series. And so the team are fighting rather hopelessly. They are fighting Doomsday Man in space, and they are not being written up or making Doomsday Man look bad. They are instead being written well, even though they are losing the fight. The subplot, though, some of the team are occupied with this other story, so they didn't get to face Doomsday Man. Like Donatello, she is this team's leader, and Flask Girl, and then down here, Jade Lanterns. And I think Unborn Gorilla, who doesn't appear in this issue at all, he's probably on this mission too. They are on this artificial Green Lantern's planet, and I really cannot wait to get more explanation of this and why Green Lanterns, the John Scott version, why he is ill and dying. So then Doomsday Man, he attacks the Justice League satellite, and we already know what happens, because inside the base we have Bicycle Superman, who has taken control of the entire satellite, and we will come back to this story very soon. In the meantime, there is an anti-advert for this very crossover. It is a shame, it is a total dud, because these Justice League issues definitely present something that is exciting to read. The previous parts of this crossover, they hadn't won me around at all. It was all just mindless, one-sided fighting with Doomsday Man stomping on whoever's book it was. But this one handled it with a lot more grace than Steel Superman or Superboy did. The Superboy issue isn't bad either, but unlike any of the others, there is stuff in this besides Doomsday Man beating characters up. I'll rate this 7 thumbs up, but I might be blinded by nostalgia, which is something I always complain about with comic book creators. So, actually, I will not rate this 7 thumbs up. I will lower the rating to a more fair and more average 7 thumbs up.